I mean, the damage on it's still kind of lacking, man. You don't get the 66% damage hit, like that, the 60% damage hit. That's pretty good, but like that's not until like that's every third attack. That's every third attack for 60% damage. This is 50%. This is only 35, but you can get multiple hits. Lightning Storm. So Lightning Storm is only 25, and if you get like, you know, if a target gets hit by more than one bolt at a time, you can do more, but it's pretty RNG. Landslide. Wait, Landslide has 113 damage. What the fudge? I didn't even see this skill. Landslide. Why aren't we using Landslide? Why is this not meta? So this one doesn't help you at all against bosses. This one kinda can help you at bosses. You could get a 10% chance. That's kind of a small area. Oh, is it ranged? When you say something like Landslide, I pictured something a little more, a little bigger. This is not like a landslide. This is like a this is like a crack in the sidewalk. It's not a landslide. The spirit generation is very good. The Druid can generate quite a bit of spirit here. It's better than most. Do a big two-hander. My goal is to make the best builds, right? So if I can find a Druid build that is worth, you know, writing a guide for, I'll do it. That definitely hit twice. I mean, if it hits twice and you're doing like 113 base damage per hit, that's pretty massive. Cyclone armor, 20% non-physical damage reduction. Oh, just passively. Oh wow, no way. This passively just gives you 20% non-physical damage reduction. Oh, that's OP. You just put that on and you have it, and then you can activate it for a knockback. That's OP. That's nice. That's insane. I haven't seen anything like this in this game. I mean, we have this in like D3 a lot, right? But like, this is the first time I've seen something where you just put it on your bar passively like this. I'll play around with Tornado a little more, maybe. We'll see how many hits we get out of it. But this Landslide hits hard, man. Landslide 113. For Tornado to make up for that, like, Tornado has to hit like 3 times. Okay, hit that guy 3 times. I don't know. Right now I'm not really that impressed with Tornado. I still think Landslide is my go-to start. If we can apply this Immobilize or Stun consistently, that's going to be strong too. I think from here I'm just going to put more points into Landslide. I like it. I like the one-shots. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Feels good, man. Yep, hitting him twice. It's hitting twice there, so it's doing like the 100 plus base damage 2 times there per cast. That's a lot of damage. Druid and Barb need buffs. I don't know, man. You can, at level 25, if you fully gear on a Barb, it starts to get really strong. So I would refrain from, you know, talking about buffing people until we see like endgame. I mean, they could tweak like things a little bit, right? They could like make it so some of these classes perform a little better at the 1 to 25 experience for sure. I think the way the skills scale though is all the skills seem to scale like the same way, same percentages kind of thing. So it might be hard to kind of like try to buff early game experience for characters without screwing too much with the end game power, right? But I guess if I had if we had the choice, you know, to either balance things well for like the early leveling experience or to balance things at the end game, I choose end game every time, right? Landslide is 30. It's a bit expensive. I mean, I think it's pretty much in line with everything else though, other classes. Oh, Tornado is 40. You're right. These do seem a little expensive. They do seem a little expensive, but also the spirit generation you get from generators is higher. So maybe that's supposed to kind of balance it out. You get more generation, but less, but skills cost more than say like, you know, other resources on other classes. It could also just be like kind of like a playstyle, like a game like development choice because they want like Druid to be like more weaving in like, you know, more generators in between attacks kind of thing, constantly swapping back and forth. That seems like maybe that's the idea for Druid. Whereas like, you know, a sorcerer can have like a higher kind of resource pool and just kind of like dump way more skills out at once kind of thing. So we don't have access to any specialization at all for Druid. We just get nothing. At least like warriors still had like the masteries and that kind of thing, right? Should you use a totem or a two-hander? Whatever gives you the most damage output, you know? It just depends. I'm using a two-hander right now because the blue two-hander early on here has more damage output than anything else. It seems like the case in general in this game so far from what I've seen is two-handers are pretty good. Starting off at least. I mean, going with like a offhand, a one-hander and an offhand can have its benefits too eventually. Because it seems like you just might have more stats from that kind of setup. We'll see. But they did a pretty good job of making two-handers feel worthwhile. Whereas like in a lot of ARPGs I've been playing, D3 included, it just feels like a lot of times two-handers are weaker. Just like way weaker than doing a dual wield or a main hand offhand setup. Like for example, like in this game, it seems like the damage numbers are really good for two-handers. Plus, in addition to that, they made it so like, you would think that with a two-hander, that would mean you would have like one less legendary aspect, right? Which is true, you have one less legendary aspect with the two-hander. But they balance it by giving you a ×2 bonus to the aspect on a two-handed weapon. So that's like a great way to balance it, to make sure that like a two-hander can still be viable. Because if they didn't do that, then you would be, yeah, it would be way worse. It would just be better aspect-wise to get two aspects. Oh man, this is gonna be a tank and spank fight, isn't it? real quick. Here we go. Level 3 power, level 3 landslide. Get damage for it. We get that vulnerable from my basic attack here too. The basic attack has 50% chance to apply vulnerable. Then I'm just gonna smash it with the landslide. My basic attack is also giving me 25% damage reduction. This is why this basic attack is OP, dude. Like 25% damage reduction plus 50% vulnerable chance on a basic attack. So good. Yeah, Lightning Storm looks like it could be good starting off too, right? It's 25%. So level 1's 25%. You would have to like hit a target like 4 times though, to get like 100% base. It is only 15 spirit cost per strike though. That's way cheaper. It's half the cost of Landslide. But I think Landslide just hits harder. Lightning Storm's a little more, maybe a little more spammable. Peace. I mean, so far I wouldn't say Druid's weak. I can't really say Druid's weak so far. This thing hits so hard. Like compared to like other starters where you're just like putting 1 point or you're starting to get your core skills. Like no other class has this much damage from just like their first like starting off here. Their first few levels, except for maybe Chain Lightning Sork. In fact, right now Druid is pretty much like the tier list up to this level is like Sorcerer and then Druid. It's gonna be D2 season starts 80% Sork. I don't think it's nearly as like bad as D2, man. I don't think it's nearly as bad as D2 in terms of like how like Sork viability is like far and above and beyond everyone else. All the other classes here catch up very quickly to the Sork. Sure, the Sork starts off really strong, but every other class I played can kind of catch up in at least to a certain degree by level 25. Again, if we were just playing a game that maxed out at level 25, yeah, sure, everyone's gonna play Sork. A lot of people are gonna pick Sork. You also have to remember the reason why Sork is such a huge pick in D2 is because of the teleport. The teleport's so strong in D2, right? And then other classes can't really compete until they can farm up an Enigma. So that's not really the case in this game. This game, Sork has teleport, but it has a cooldown. It's a little better balanced. Other classes also have mobility skills that are comparable to teleport. Because teleport has a cooldown, it's not OP. But I think Sork is going to be a popular pick. From like gauging from like the traffic of just looking at like how many people are looking at the guides on Icy Veins, for example, right? And just trying to get a gauge of like what the interest is. Chain Lightning Sork is my most popular guide. So yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, Sork is a very popular class right now, for sure. I don't think it'd be anywhere close to 80% though. Okay, yeah, no other class is hitting this hard at level 10, except for Sork. Sork's Chain Lightning doesn't hit as hard, but it just bounces more, right? So like a single target, the Chain Lightning can bounce and hit a target 4 times. I think the base for Chain Lightning is like 75% or something like this, so it's like 75 times 4, which is pretty good. But this is like 113 times 2 if it hits twice. So yeah, this is hitting really hard. Just one-shotting the trees there. Oh, yellow weapon. Oh, now we're smashing. Now we're gonna oh, whoa. Oh! Yeah, baby. Get wrecked. Okay, yeah. So I'm ready. I'm already ready to. I'm already calling it here. This is the best leveling build for Druid. I'm calling it here, guys. I'm gonna make the guide for the best leveling build. If you're disengaged as a necromancer, you feel like this guy doesn't play the game for you. Welcome to every summoner minion build, Rios. Yeah, I feel the same way. Don't get me wrong. Like I feel the same way. I get it. Yeah, I get you for sure. It just might not be like it might not be your playstyle. It's definitely not really my playstyle. If you do like the Bono Necro that I wrote on Icy Veins, that build is meant to be like more of like a more of a traditional spellcaster type build. Like it plays like a sorcerer kind of thing, right? So it's without like reliance on minions. So that's why I made that build, is because I don't really like minions either. We play Necro all the time in D3. Well, in D3 you can definitely make Necro builds that don't have like reliance on minions quite easily, right? There's quite a bit of them. And you can do the same for D4, really. I mean, you can definitely make builds that have less reliance on minions, but it feels like in D4 the minions are more like baked into the class identity more, right? Whereas D4 they're kind of an optional thing. D3 they're kind of more of an optional thing. D4 it's like the minions are going to be there. At least when you're starting off, you kind of you do use the minions starting off for quite a bit, but eventually at level 25, for example, with the Bone Necromancer build I wrote, you sacrifice the minions eventually so that you just get passive bonuses. Sacrificing minions doesn't look worth it, to be honest. No, it definitely is. I made it work. I made it worth it. There's a node called Standalone and Momentum Mori at the bottom of the tree in the ultimate section, and that gives you extra bonuses to your sacrifice bonuses, and we benefit a lot off of the sacrifice for crit chance and extra damage to vulnerable with the Bone Spear Necromancer. Fastest character to level in D4. If we're just talking about to level 25, it's going to be the Chain Lightning Sork, or the Hydra. Oh, you switch to Hydra. But either way, you start Chain Lightning. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, the Chain Lightning Sork guide on Icy Veins is my most popular guide. I think for good reason. Mental Druid and respect into Shapeshifter when you get a few uniques. Perhaps. I mean, we're seeing. Like, if I get like build defining uniques or legendaries, if I get anything dropping here that's worth using, then you might see me switch. Yeah, that's kind of like, you know, there's going to be variants like that happening for sure, based off of RNG that you have, right? The best I can do is tell you guys like what you should start with at least. For example, for Druid here, I'm going to say start with Landslide. But that could definitely change depending on what drops you get. Just keep going Landslide here. I already got level 5 Landslide. We just rushed that. And it smashes. Literally just smashes your opponents, squishes them. Just quite a bit. You just gotta be a little smart about your positioning, about dragging enemies. You know, Landslide does kind of have like a small area to it. It's gonna be aimed really well. And if you want to maximize the amount of hits, you kind of do have to group enemies up a bit for it. But you can definitely see this damage output is pretty crazy. Druid start is not weak at all with this. I know a lot of people. I've been hearing a lot of people saying it. I mean, I just started playing Druid today, but yesterday, the first day of the open beta, a lot of people telling me Druid just really feels weak. Right now, though, I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing quite a bit of power here. The other skills, though, maybe they're lacking. That's why. But we'll see. We'll see, like with like, you know, once we get to start getting higher levels, and if we can find like good complementing legendaries to go with builds that can, you know, make or break whether or not a class feels good at certain levels, as if you have those build defining uniques, or legendaries rather. We get the new node here open up. Activate strangle our surrounding enemies, immobilizing them. Oh, we gotta on demand immobilize here for 2 seconds. So the on-demand immobilize works really well here for the terror motes. Or for this extra landslide. Max spirit. Basics. Oh, basic skills generate 10 times more, 10% times more spirit. You can get 30% more spirit. Core skills. Oh, actually this is pretty strong here. These nodes are pretty strong. I mean, you either just get like a companion here to like supplement your damage, or you just go for like the extra stuff here. Like 30% more spirit gen is pretty big. I think that's what I'm gonna go for. I think I'm just gonna go for like the 30% more spirit gen here. More spirit regen means more smashing. Once you get that lined up just perfectly, man, it destroys. Try that vulnerable, then smash. You want a basic attack into that vulnerable pops up. 50% chance to apply it. So you gotta make sure all your, if you wanna maximize your DPS, you want to landslide when you have vulnerable up. You can even just do it twice per. You can dump 3 at a time here, it looks like, yeah. So here's the vulnerable. 1, 2, 3, and then keep swinging again. Rotations. Is a Druid worth playing right now? Sure, yeah. If you love Druid, if you're a Druid, if you kind of have liked Druid in other games and in the past and you like the playstyle, then it definitely is worth playing. This is the strongest leveling build for Druid right now, I've found. Starting off here, this landslide is doing a lot of damage. You might struggle a little more if you're trying to do things like, you know, werebear or werewolf, which is kind of unfortunate because those are kind of more iconic and more unique to the Druid, is the shape-shifting stuff. I would like that to be a little stronger starting off. I'm hoping that they are very viable builds in endgame, at least. Yeah, it's hard because like a lot of, you know, when you're leveling, you kind of have to rely on what you're getting, what the drops are. It's going to be even harder on release because right now we have like the legendary drop rate turned up. So on release, like you're not going to be able to like, you really can't make a leveling build that relies on a particular legendary drop because there's no guarantee that you even get it. Maybe on aspects you can, like at least you can maybe build around like available aspects that you can get early on. Yeah, they did confirm that the drop rate for this beta has, they turned it up for the beta. Probably a good thing actually. I mean, I like that the drop rate will be lower for release, I think. I don't think they specified exactly how much it's turned up right now. The amulet is guaranteed. Yeah. For a lot of people, that would probably be their first legendary, is when they finish that last boss in Act 1. I agree, yeah. I think it's better that the lower drop rate is better. I mean, the thing is that like casuals will complain, right? And it would be kind of hard for some players because they're not getting as many drops and they gotta farm more and the game's gonna feel grindier. But that's better for people that play the game more. That want like more game time, right?
Take this.
All right. Level 12, I can finally get some more spirit gen right here. 10% more spirit gen. There's no passive regen on spirit, but it also doesn't degen. So there's some differences in resources for sure. Mage and Sorcerer and Necromancer have a passive regen. Barb has actually a passive degen. It's easier to hit a lot of enemies if you just kind of use the landslide more like in melee range, right? Group your enemies up close to you, then smash them like this. Well, the walls actually have health in this game, so at least the walls aren't as crazy OP as they were in D3. But I think some people are still going to be raging at walls quite a bit. It's kind of funny actually, the Waller. You know, just from playing D3 and seeing other players give like being enraged at walls whenever like walls pop up, like just driving people crazy and them just like screaming out at wallers. I think that's the reason why wallers should still remain in the game. You know, I don't think they should remove wallers and get rid of stuff like that, because wallers change the way you play the game. They change your strategy. They change how you have to think about the game. They activate a part of your brain, you know, instead of just like going on autopilot.
I thought you were gonna say that Waller builds character.
It builds character. It does. It does. Waller definitely builds character. You know, whether you get a reaction out of someone that is positive or negative, you elicit that reaction from someone. I think whether it's positive or negative, in some cases it's better. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. You just want to elicit. You want to elicit a reaction. You want people to react, whether positive or negative.
Sure, she wouldn't.
How is that horrible?
She shouldn't have.
That's like saying like if a game is too hard and you die and people die and people like, you know, keep dying on a boss fight because it's really hard, that it's a bad thing. It's like no. I mean, you can argue that maybe it might be too hard and needs to be toned down a bit or something. You know, sure, but having death in the game doesn't. You shouldn't remove people dying in the game, right? Because of it. I think sometimes it's easy for people to give feedback on a game and just want to nerf everything because it upsets them and it gives them that kind of negative reaction to something. And I just think it sometimes gets a little bit overblown, a little bit out of, like, just because something upsets you and something is because of like you feel like it's unfair or it's hard or difficult, I don't think that should be necessarily removed or nerfed. Legendary Ring. Your wolf companions are now werewolf companions. Werewolf companions deal 100% plus additional damage and can spread rabies. Wait, what? 100% plus? That's a lot. Additive? 100% additive more damage to werewolves? That's insane. Oh yeah, it's a perfect roll. 100 out of 100, yeah. That's insane. You're telling me for the werewolf companions that do 8% damage, you're telling me that's now 108 because it's an additive 100? That can't be right. There's no way. I would think this would be a multiplicative 100, making that 8% 16%, doubling it, right? There's no way this is plus. There's no way that this is correct. What? That's so crazy. So it's taking. Okay, so if this is really additive, right? Like normally I would think 8% damage, right? If it's multiplicative, it would double it. Plus 100% multiplicative would be 16% damage. We're talking about going from 8 to 108 with additive, right? So, sorry, 8 plus 100 to go to 108. Going to 108 damage from 8% damage. This is a 13.5 times multiplier. We're just getting 13.5 times more damage for wolf companions. Like, that's just so crazy. In addition to also proccing this rabies thing for even more damage. Okay, so we gotta try that out, obviously. Wolves. So let's see if this truly is like 108 base damage here. No. It's not. It's doing 20 damage. If I take this ring off, they're gonna do like 16, right? Yeah. Half that, 10, right? Yeah. This is multiplicative, not additional. They just got the tooltip wrong.
Over there. An opening.
Am I crazy here? Like, this is 100% multiplicative damage, not additional. It's kind of cool how they buffed it, how they change form. They change from like little pups, the little wolf pups here, into this. That's a nice touch for sure. Like the visual change is definitely a nice touch. The webcam, I just upgraded to the webcam actually. It does look pretty good. We upgraded to a Logitech Brio 4K cam. It's a 4K webcam. Not, you know, of course not as good as like just using like a 4K like mirrorless like, you know, camera or something like, you know, but it's still a webcam. But it's pretty good, I think.
They're all dead.
Hi Fudge. We had to upgrade the cam just so that we could see Fudge in 4K. Granted, the stream is still in 1080, but yeah, we gotta get Fudge looking as glorious as possible. You hope melee rogue doesn't end up being trash endgame. I don't think it will be. I think if you like power up to the Twisting Blades rogue at level 25, it gets really strong. Like it's really strong. Yeah, I'm not really impressed by the wolf companions even with that ring on, to be honest. I mean, I think we just drop this and go back into like going for the original idea here of generating more spirit. Twisting Blades hype. I think that's what I'm starting. Yeah, I still think I'm starting Twisting Blades rogue. That epoch's so good, perfect balance between Diablo and PoE. It seems like, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good for sure. I really like the skill tree system that Last Epoch is doing. I think it has massive potential for sure. Honestly, I find it's kind of hard to make heads or tails of the story in kind of like in a cohesive way, playing through all the games. And I found it was much easier to understand what's going on just reading about it. For example, like D4 is gonna be about like it's about Lilith and Inarius, right? Another legendary ring. I you know, like you can learn about like what their relationship is and what their backstories are easier from just reading about it. Damage increase for each second you stand still. Okay. I think Inarius and Lilith are pretty cool characters. I think I think that they make very good characters in for D4. Like I think like Lilith in particular, her as a villain, I think she makes a way better villain than Diablo ever made. Mommy Lilith and Daddy Inarius. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, I like the drama between the two even. I mean, you know, it's somewhat of a you know, the relationship with Inarius and Lilith, it's somewhat of a lover's quarrel right now. I think in general it's probably because like the Diablo games haven't been like necessarily really good at storytelling. Like the previous, like their titles, they just never have really done a good job of telling the story, I feel like. I mean, I think D4 has improved vastly on this. This is one of the biggest strengths for me for D4, is it seems like they're getting better at being able to tell the story within the game itself in a way that, you know, people aren't just gonna like skip over. Like, you know, if you're just like, if you go to an NPC and they have just like dialogue scrolling for like ages, like most people aren't gonna sit there and listen or even read that entire dialogue, and that's why a lot of people just skip over it and don't really understand what's going on. You have to tell the story in a way that's more accessible for people to get that story, to get that info. Areas to focus on legendaries. Some people farm like the level 35 enemy. Last night I was doing like the Dead Man's Dredge dungeon farming route. That worked pretty well actually. I could recommend that for sure. There's a guide for that one, the Dead Man's Dredge. There's a guide for that on Icy Veins. Alright, alright. Alright, we got 30% bonus spirit generation now. I'm proccing quite a bit of immobilize. What exactly is the immobilize from? It's from the 15% chance here, okay. It just seems like a lot. 15% chance there, and then I think this one also has after damaging 4 times immobilizes. Okay, yeah, we got quite a bit of it actually. It's pretty strong, and this is a really good synergy early on. Like this is not only is Landslide hitting really hard, but there's a lot of synergy baked into it with the immobilize guaranteeing a critical strike and that kind of thing. It's very powerful.
We must be close.
You're playing some broken necro build? Let me guess. Is it explosive mist? Yep, that's explosive mist. That's the explosive mist aspect. We were doing that all last night actually. Pretty strong for sure, yeah. It's fun to play. It's kind of fun to play. It's kind of like, you know, auto bomber kind of setup almost. It's pretty strong indeed. For clearing, it's like just massively powerful for clearing. You kind of have to figure out a way to make single target work a little better. But the single target, you're always going to kind of struggle a little more in single target. I mean, it doesn't really give you, it doesn't really necessarily give you more power even. It just, all it does is just automatically export corpses, right? So it's like really, it feels very strong when you're clearing groups of mobs. Indeed, yes it does for sure, but like, yeah, it's like it's not going to do anything for you in a boss fight. Man, this druid is tanky. We get 20% more damage reduction from non-physical, which that is like a lightning attack she's doing. And then I also have like 25% damage reduction when I use my basic attack. I'm a tanky. Druid is not only is he a thick boy, but he can soak up those hits. Holy crap. Should have brought some healing, huh? Could have used more defensive skills for healing, but it's just, the fight's just taking me too long to kill her. She keeps doing nonsense here. I got this, I got this. Alright. Farming stuff like mounts. Okay. Oh, finally, did I finally find an upgrade here? Oh, massive upgrade. Okay. Here we go. I was so due for a weapon upgrade, but this is going to do nicely. Oh, I can even use a staff here. This is even more damage. The staff is actually the most damage. Actually, they have like very same damage here between these two weapons, but the staff is just a little faster, so we do want to prioritize that. We get the extra spear generation. We could just do this one too. This is 10% increased damage for our landslide. So we're just going full on damage here. We're going generator and damage. I mean, 10% increased damage multiplier is pretty big for a 5% increase in spirit. I definitely feel way tankier on the druid than anything else I've played. And I haven't really even built around survivability. Except for just getting that one passive, with that one point into the cyclone armor. So I think Druid gets like probably gets a passive DR, kind of like Barbarian, where like the Barbarian also kind of tanky at first, getting a passive DR bonus. But then Barbarian, it does feel kind of like squishy after a while on the Barb, unless you start to spec into some more defensive nodes. I feel tankier than I was on the Barb, and I also feel like I'm just doing way more damage. So yeah. Yeah, it's really good. Like just having this Cyclone armor, like just as a passive, is really powerful. 20% damage reduction for non-physical. Now it's actually 20% damage reduction for both physical and non-physical with the legendary I got. And then another 25% DR just from attacking for my basic skill on Storm Strike. That's pretty massive too. So we just like get the guaranteed crit and we vulnerable enemies with our Storm Strike. And we get 25% damage reduction from using it. Like it's just like, it's such a powerful basic skill. It does so much. It does so much.
I know that like the others who have been called to serve.
Oh, we have the new cluster here unlocked. What do we got here? Trample, Whale Bear, Charge Forward, Knockback. Oh, if they're knocked into terrain. This is just like the Barb Charge, yeah. This is like the Barb Charge. There's a heal, there's a Fortify. You can get 20 spirit from it. Hurricane. 97% damage to surrounding enemies over 8 seconds. So that's pretty weak, right? Because it's over 8 seconds. So 97 divided by 8, you're going to be not doing that much damage per second here. Enemies who are damaged by Hurricane are slowed, 25%. 15% chance to make enemies vulnerable. Enemies affected by it deal 20% less damage. Okay. So it's definitely not supposed to be like a damage dealer. It's more of a supportive skill. Boulder. Ooh, large boulder. Wait, what? This only does 33? This only does 33 base? With a 9.75 second cooldown? Weak. Why is this so weak? Oh, they hit multiple times, so it just kept pushing him back and hitting him. Okay. With the cooldown on it, it feels more like a defensive kind of like grouping skill or something. Okay. Man, you can like have 1 point in boulder just for utility. You can have we definitely just put the one like have like one for trample, right? We just have one for trample so we can use it for movement skill, basically. Yeah, okay. So I'll use that. I'll get that for a movement skill. 20% fortify is pretty big actually, or 20% spirit. Either one of those. Is it worth going for 2 more points to get one of those? Probably. I like having the boulder just as 1 point, a 1 point wonder pretty much of the boulder I think, and the trample. Oh, we can put more points in trample. Alright, Den Mother, here we go. With the defenses I have, I'm not taking very much damage from her. Look how little damage I'm taking from her. This Cyclone armor combined with the 25% DR and the basic. You can kind of go toe-to-toe with her a bit more. And I'm putting out enough damage here to kind of like, you know, beat her in the DPS race here. Ow. Ow. Gotta proc that vulnerable. There it is. Unleash. Oh, it keeps knocking me down. Holy crap, she's wrecking me now. Here we go. Here we go. Finish her. It's really hard to avoid damage from the Den Mother. So yeah, the key there I think is just being tough enough and dealing enough damage and just beating her out head to head. That stun is nice off the charge. The stun, 3-second stun off the charge. I think that also activates our guaranteed crit, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. So okay, so the charge stun and the immobilize we proc off of our basic both give us that guaranteed crit. You're currently playing Werebear max level 25, still having issues? Yeah, I mean, you might need to like try to like really gear it up for it to really feel good for sure. You're pretty geared at the moment, you say? I mean, it doesn't look like it really has that much damage, man. It really doesn't, yeah. It might be, you know, it might be because you need like certain legendary aspects. But yeah, it's just looking at Werebear. You're looking at, which one is it? Pulverize? You're looking at 50%. I mean, it's not terrible. I guess 50% base isn't terrible. It's not, but it's not like, you know, Landslide has like a 113% base. Yeah, it seems like it's okay. It's just, I think Druid feels a little underpowered right now. Unless you're doing the Landslide stuff. Oh, because of a Lego. Okay, yeah, okay. Sure, yeah. It might be just the Werebear Landslide's enabled with a legendary, perhaps. Yeah, two-handed mace legendary. This could be some damage. Oh yeah, damage upgrade. Let's go. Wait. Pulverize creates a shock. Oh, pulverize creates a shockwave that travels forward. Wait a minute. What? Dealing 252% of its damage to targets in the path. Wait, what? This can do up to... Wait, this is getting a double bonus, right? It's because it's on a two-handed weapon. It's getting a double bonus. What? So it can do 260% of its damage in a shockwave. 260% of the damage of pulverize. Holy hell. Okay, so 260% of pulverize. Pulverize is 50 base, right? So if we're just looking at 50 base on rank 1, 50 times... It says 2... Wait, it says... Wait, hold on. It says 252% of its damage. Okay, so times 2.6, right? So it does 130 base now with that? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. 130 base damage off of pulverize. This could be build defining. This could be very build defining. In a shockwave. So it sounds like you were just gonna get like more area with it too. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Pulverize. Dude, that's some distance. Okay. Okay. Okay.
You never once had the courage to face me. Father lied.
That's some range to it. I wonder if does it hit twice if we're close? Let me see. Can we get 2 hits out of this? Was that? That was 1 hit. No, that was 2. I think I saw 2 there. Yep. That's 2. We're getting... Wait a minute. Oh, okay, so... If we can get 2 hits out, both hits out of it at close range, then you attack on another 50. You attack on the original 50. So it's 180 base. Right? It's pretty big. That didn't hit twice. That one didn't hit twice. How come sometimes it doesn't hit twice? That one hit twice. It seems like maybe on bigger targets, or maybe we gotta be at the right, a very specific distance for it to hit twice. Yeah, it's definitely like, this is what we call build defining for sure. It's like, as soon as you get this thing, it's like, it creates, it flips, it just enables the build, right? Like the build is gonna be shit until you can get it, So I wouldn't even recommend using Pulverize until you get this. So that's the play, that might be the play. The play here is like, start with Landslide like we've been doing, and then if this drops for you, then you can make the swap. Do I make gear restricted builds? That's the problem, right? Like for leveling guides, none of our we haven't wrote any leveling guides on Icy Veins. If they're a leveling guide, we can't assume any legendary drops. Kind of ran into the same situation with the Necromancer last night. Like the best start for me was Bone Spear, Bone Necromancer. Obviously, a lot of people are having good, are seeing how overpowered Exploding Mist is. But it's you can't write a leveling guide based around Exploding Mist when it's a legendary that people aren't guaranteed to get. So, hi Fudge. Can you give me a... Hey. What, you don't like the idea? You don't like my ideas? I mean, maybe later on, like later on, we'll start making like, when we start making like end game builds, we can definitely be like, you need this legendary for the end game build, right? So here's the question, guys: should I finish leveling to 25 with Landslide just to show what the leveling experience is like, and show people, like, you know, in case they don't get this, or should we just completely respec here and go with it, what we got?
You're gonna go to jail.
Go with the new respec. I think you guys just want to see that. You guys want to see it, right? So let's just do it. I think I've made my point. I think I've proven that Landslide is really the best start for Druid. I think I've shown that already at this point. So let's just respec. Let's go into this Pulverize. $10 seconds sounds like a lot of time for the overpower to charge, but when you're traveling between packs of mobs, it's not really that long, I suppose. Yeah, it's right there. And then, like, you know, by the time you like travel to this next pack here, it's like kind of charging up. Do we get an icon for it? Oh, it's right here. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. I don't think Druid is weak at all. I think people saying Druid is weak are just playing the wrong skills. They're playing it wrong. They're doing it wrong. They're just doing it wrong. I mean, the thing is that, like, some of the skills suck. Most definitely. Some of the skills suck, and that you might need like specific legendaries for them to work. And if you pick them and you're trying to start with them, you're gonna have a hard time. Right. That's what it is. But that is literally what you can say with every single character in the game. If you pick the wrong starting skills, you're gonna suffer. So when people say like something sucks, it could be just because they made the wrong choices. Really, I mean, it was what it comes down to. But Druid does not suck at all. In general, if you know how to play a Druid, it does not suck. Peace. Stacking up for a big ass, like, stacking up, oh man, oh yeah, if you drop below that HP threshold, you lose the overpower there, yeah. But stacking up for a big overpower just feels really good. You know, you can definitely utilize this overpower with big damaging multipliers. We have things like, you know, your basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill. We have, you know, essence gained above your max essence increases the damage of your next core skill. Like those legendary aspects are separate damage multipliers, and you can stack these separate damage multipliers to be ready for a big pulverize, for a big overpower. And the fact that it has so much AoE coverage makes it worth it, right? Like, because you can just like obliterate an entire pack of enemies with one cast, it makes sense that you can just kind of like build up a lot of damage for that one blow, because you're able just to hit everything with it. I mean, the coverage on this thing is insane. I don't know if I've seen any other AoE skill other than like ultimates that have this kind of coverage. Get wrecked. Dude. Dude, this definitely fulfills that fantasy of being a bear. Like, it just, like, you're charging in as a bear, knocking them around, then smashing the ground. Like, it's just very... It just very much feels like you're playing a role there. Oh, look at this. +1 to rank of pulverize on these gloves. Perfect. God, I got a level 6 pulverize now. Look at that overpower, dude. Holy crap. Just obliterated everything.